Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us to today's webinar, Do-It-Yourself Business Template using Microsoft Word and Excel, PPP loan documentation, and more. This webinar is presented to you in collaboration with Mercer County Office of Economic Development and also in collaboration with our sister centers, Northwest SBDC and SBDC at Brookdale Community College. My name is Lilian Mauro. I am the Regional Director for the Small Business Development Center at the College of New Jersey, and we provide counseling and training and technical assistance for existing businesses and startups. We are part of a network for more than 1,000 centers nationwide and 12 of them in the state of New Jersey. Each center covers a specific area. Our SBDC at the College of New Jersey covers Mercer County and its 12 municipalities. We have a great team to serve the business community, and all programs are presented to you by highly qualified specialists. We have government representatives, experienced and knowledgeable business owners, and private consultants that can help you to overcome the challenges you may experience operating your business. We provide one-to-one counseling at no cost to you, and also throughout the year, we offer no-cost and low-cost training sessions to learn more about running and growing your business. Our areas of expertise include, but is not limited to, business plan, marketing plan, social media, website development, procurement, international trade, wholesale, manufacturing, QuickBooks, loan package development, and many more. As I mentioned to you before, we are joining us today with our sister centers, Northwest SBDC, which cover Morris, Sussex, and Warren counties. You can contact Mary Adelman, Regional Director for Northwest SBDC at 908-269-8475, and also SBDC at Brookdale Community College, which serves Ocean and Monmouth County. You can contact the Regional Director, Jacqueline Mejia Fuertes, at 732-842-8685. All our services would not be possible without the support of the Small Business Administration, Business Action Center, Mercer County Office of Economic Development, the College of New Jersey. We are also partnering this year with UCEDC and our BAC Regional Business Assistance Corporation. The Office of Mercer County Economic Development offer a lot of assistance also for businesses in the county. Anthony Caravelli Jr. is the director. He's not here today with us, but we would like to show you about what the county does for the businesses. They assist all businesses with all related questions regarding business challenges. They also assist the businesses through our network of federal, state, and local partners. They maintain the relationship with the current 12 Mercer municipalities and the specific departments. And they offer business counseling programs throughout the SBDC. They also have a new lending partnership with UCEDC. We have different microloans and loan programs available for businesses. They offer on-the-job training grants through Mercer County One-Stop Career Center. They have a foreign trade zone grantee. For everybody who's looking to expand the business or looking to move to Mercer County, they offer a free site selection services. And they also have a Mercer County Training Certificate Program. You can contact Anthony Caravelli Jr. directly at 609-989-6555, or you can send an email to acaravellijr@mercercounty.org. You can also connect with Darren Stewart, Business Advocate, at 609-989-6912, or email Darren at darrenstewart@mercercounty.org. With that, let me introduce to Kevin Frankenfield, Microsoft Word Excel, a corporate trainer who's going to provide the webinar today. Thank you, Kevin, for being here today.
Well, you're welcome. So my name's Kevin Frankenfield. I am a corporate trainer for almost 25 years. I've learned originally in something called Lotus 1, 2, 3 and had switched over to Microsoft Office. So what we're here today is basically using some pre-made templates for your PPP loan or the PPP forgiveness. Now, I'm going to say I am not an expert on the program, but I can help you with getting the documentation. Lillian and Shakira will be sending out the files that I will be using for today's demonstration. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up Excel. For those of you who are new to Excel, I'm going to go in and open up one of the files that I have provided for this seminar. One is the calculator, which I actually found out on a website. When I was looking at this particular calculator, it made sense to me, but what if I'm not using QuickBooks or other programs that are going to give me the information that is needed? So if you look here, they're asking for full-time employees. They're also asking for wages and commissions, owner's compensation, payments and leave vacation, and you can see the rest over here. And the way this is calculating, it's adding up from here to here, and then it subtracts these two to get this amount. Well, what we're going to do is try to figure out how to get this information in here, especially if you're not using something like QuickBooks. So what I did is I created a separate spreadsheet. So I'm just going to open that one up. That will help us create these numbers for us. Now I'm in Excel. And for you, those of you who are new to Excel, I want to just show you some areas and get you familiarized with some of the technical terms. Up here where it says autosave, this is called the quick access toolbar. This is where you can start new files, save files. Below this, we have what are called the tabs. You have File, which is also called the backstage area, if you ever hear that term. Home, Insert, Layout. So these tabs call up different ribbons. I think we're all used to the different tabs and calling up the ribbons. The way Microsoft designed this is that we always work left to right when we're creating a document. In a ribbon, we have what are called groups. So here's one called Clipboard, one called Font, one called Alignment, and one called Number. In the Clipboard group, we have our commands: copy, cut, format painter, and paste. Now, next to the different groups, we have what are called dialog box launchers. If I would select a cell and I want to format it, but I'm not seeing the information here, if you click on the dialog box launcher, it actually will open up a window to give me more choices. There's also something called task pane, such as the clipboard. When you click on that dialog box launcher, it opens up the clipboard here on the right so that you can copy between applications and put it into the clipboard and then bring it back into your application. Clicking on the X closes it. We also have something called live preview. We have gallery. So if I click on a cell and I go over here to the styles group, and these are the different styles. If I click on this more button, which is right there, I can scroll over these different styles and take notice how it's accessing this cell over here. Once you find one you like, you click on it. So that's a gallery. Here I'm clicking on a cell. In Excel, we also have what is called the formula bar. All the way here to the left is called the name box. This has many different applications depending on what you're doing in Excel. This one is just telling me what cell is active. What does that mean? Well, if you look at this spreadsheet, across the top, these are called columns. All the columns are usually labeled with a letter. On the right or on the left side, we have the different rows. All the rows are indicated by a number. Where a column and a row meet is called a cell. So as you can see, I have selected cell A4. You look at the name box and it tells you you are currently in A4. I also wanted to point out that there are different types of mice. As I'm going through, you're looking at the mouse, it's a big plus sign. This allows me to select a cell by clicking on it, or select what is called a range, which is a group of cells, which is clicking on the mouse, holding it down, and dragging it in different directions. To unselect the range, just click on a different cell. When I select a range, if you look at the name box, you'll see that one of these cells in here is actually highlighted. That's the active cell, G12. I'm just happening to hit enter in here and take notice now we're down to G13. I'm going to go back to cell A4. In here we have text. Up at the top we have what is called the formula bar. And this shows me the contents of the cell. If I click on cell C10, even though it's showing a $sign, in the formula bar, it's showing a function that I used in order to obtain that. We can also click in there and type. So I just wanted to go in and explain the different parts. So we have columns, rows, cells, and a range. Those are the main ones. I am working in what is called a workbook. Down here where it says payroll expenses, I am working in a worksheet. A workbook can contain many worksheets. Also, people like to say, can I make the screen bigger? Well, you can make what is called the work area between the columns and the rows bigger by going down to what is called the status bar. Right now, my status bar says that I am ready. Also over here, we have different views, but we have the zoom. So if you click on the plus sign, you can make this spreadsheet larger. Click on the minus sign to make it smaller. Or you can drag either to the left or right to make it larger. That's a question I usually get. Also, what I don't see turned on, and it might help you, is on the status bar, you can have some tools that help you. If you right click on the status bar, that's the one below where it says payroll expenses and these scroll bars, it says ready, and it also has no macros enabled, and then it's a blank part. Any place on the blank part, you can click here and you can tell it to go in and say, when I highlight a cell, show me the average, show me the count, the max, the min. And when you click on this toolbar, that goes away. So if you click on a cell, and we'll show that a little bit later, you can highlight cells and it would actually give you the total. So here we are working with workbooks. I'm going to need this one in order to work with the other one. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch windows since I have two files open. I'm going to go down to the Windows taskbar, and here is a stacked icon down here with two Excel spreadsheets. So I could click on the calculator, and I'm going to use the other spreadsheet to fill in this information. So I'm taking two templates, and I'm going to create this. Now, what I could do is I could always start from scratch. If I do a file new, I can create a new workbook. Since many of you are new to Excel, I wouldn't expect you to create a new workbook, but I just want to show you that you can go in and create one for yourself. What I want to do is, I'm going to do this rather quickly, is show you just some Excel basics. What I want to do is I want to put in 4 quarters starting in B4. So you click into the cell and then you just start typing. This is text. When you type in text, take notice how it appears left aligned in the cell. I'm just going to hit enter and take notice that the active cell moved from A4 where I typed in Q1 and it went down to Q5. Now I'm going to click on Q1. Now I mentioned that there are different types of mice. One is to click on a cell or click or select a range. If I move the cell to the border, I get this four-headed mouse. If I click on that and hold the mouse down, I can drag this cell to any location. The third mouse I want to talk about is down here in the lower right-hand corner where you see this, what they call the autofill box. When I move my mouse over it, take notice it turns into a small black plus sign. That has a different feature. If it's text, I could click on this, hold it down, and just keep dragging, and it's going to copy the information in that cell to the other cells. Now I can undo what I just did by going up here to the to the auto or the quick access toolbar. Up here is your undo tool. If I click on that once, it undoes what I just did in case you do an oops. Well, I want to put the 4 quarters in there, and I'm going to type in the word total. I also want to put in several areas. I'm going to type in north, south, east, and west. And I'll even put a total in here. So take notice I'm typing in text, it's left aligned. I'm going to show you a shortcut of how you can enter numbers. As you see, if you hit enter, the active cell goes down 1 row. I'm going to go in here and create a few numbers in here. And what will happen when I select now, this is a range because it's more than one cell selected, but I'm in cell B5. Every time I hit enter, I'm going to go down 1 row. When I get back down to B9 and I hit enter, Excel will know to go back up to the next column to the top highlighted row. So I'll just type in a few numbers here, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, and 1 or 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to just hit back up and say I'm done with that. So I put the 4 numbers in there. If you look at the 4 numbers, these are right aligned in the cell. Now I highlighted these numbers and I mentioned something about the status bar. So when I go down here and look at the status bar, take notice it's showing me some functions. The average of those numbers are 317. The count is 4 numbers. The smallest number is 123. The smallest is, or the maximum is 567. And the sum of this is 1,267. So you can always highlight numbers, look down there to get some figures. Well, what I want to do is, I want to show you what happens when you're typing. So if I hit enter, I'm at the bottom of West. When I hit enter, take notice it went up to the top of Q2, and I can start entering numbers again. And I can complete that. Well, I'm not going to sit here and enter numbers for you. What I want to do is I want to go in and create calculations. One way is I'm going to put the total in cell B10. How do you start a formula? Well, if you press the equal sign on your keyboard, that tells Excel we're starting a formula or something called a function, which I'll go into a little bit later. Now I'm seeing that I want to add up the numbers. Well, I could sit here and type in 1, 2, 3, use the plus sign because we're going to add numbers. 2, 3, 4, hit the plus sign. 3, 4, 5, hit the plus sign. 5, 6, 7. I don't want to hit the plus sign because it'll want another number, so I can hit enter, and there's my total. Now I'll just highlight this total here, and remember earlier I showed you down here the sum. Take notice they're matching. The problem is I change 1, 2, 3 to 3, 3, 3. Hit enter. Did it update down here? No. I highlight these figures. Look down here, I see it's supposed to be 1,479. I'm looking here and it's 12 or 1,269. Something's wrong. If I click on this number, it shows me the formula. By typing the numbers directly in, I have to make that change here in the formula as well. I shouldn't have to do that. That's too difficult. And what can I do instead of typing the numbers? Well, I'm going to delete that formula. One way you can delete it is just highlight it and press the delete key on the keyboard. Or from the Home tab, if you go over here to editing, you can click on clear, and we could say clear all or clear content. I'm going to clear content. What I want to do is I'm going to redo the formula, but this time I'm going to use cell references. Let's look at this. 333 is in cell B5 according to the name box here. 234 is in B6. East is in B7. 8 is in B8. Do I have to remember those cell addresses when I'm creating a formula? No. I could look there and say, well, it looks like it's B5, and I could type in B5. But where is it? It's right here. So I click on it. This is called the pointing method. So what I'm doing is I'm telling it what cell references to use. Well, what do I want to do? I want to add another number. So I'm going to hit the plus sign to add. I just happened to hit the wrong one. So there's the plus sign. I want to add another number. Well, what number do I want? B6. Just click on B6. Take notice how it puts it in there for you, and you do not have to go in and type it. I want to add another number. So I'll click on it, add another number, and take notice how it's color coded. So it tells you it's taking the blue, the red, the purple, and the green and adding them together. I don't want to add another plus sign. All I have to do is hit enter and take notice my total's there. I'm going to double check. I'll highlight that. I'll go down to this sum down here just to double check. I'm just trying to get you used to that. And you can see that the information is there. So here I'm looking at a formula, but the formula bar is displayed up here, and I can always change the information. Another way you can double check a formula is if you double click on it, it will highlight the formula, color code the cells, and even show you. I'll just hit escape. There is a simpler way of adding up a row or column of numbers. Instead of doing that plus sign, which I was doing to add up the numbers, there's a function that you can use. If I go back up to the home and go over here to editing, there's this auto sum button. If I click on auto sum, it's going to try to highlight the range it thinks it is. The reason it's going to the right here is because there's no numbers directly above it. I purposely put a space in between the numbers and where the total is supposed to be. What do I do to correct this? Just select the range of numbers. Now this is a function. Now when you look at the function, it says equals sum. So it's telling Excel that we're going to add what's in between cells. Well, what's the first one? C5, that's this one. You see that there's a semicolon in the function, and you'll see that there is C8, which is the last cell. So this function is saying take everything from C5 to C8 and add it up, and all you have to do is hit enter. You can do the same thing for the total. Click there, click on auto sum. Take notice it found the row of numbers. I don't have to change anything, and I can click on equals. There's even a shortcut. If you know that this is adding a column of numbers, which is this column here, if I copy the cell using this auto handle, dragging it over, I can create formulas for the other two columns. I'm going to click on this one, and we see that the sum is actually C5 through C8. I double clicked on it, and you'll see how it highlighted that range of numbers. I'll just hit escape to get out of it. When you copy a formula, the cell references change. So if I copy this formula one cell to the right, all the cell references change. So if I click on this and double click on it, take notice how it's now highlighting D5 through D8. I'll just hit escape, and the same for this formula. So create the formula once, and if you're adding up columns or if you're doing rows, just use the autofill to drag the formula over. I can do the same for the row of numbers. Just take this and drag it down, and now I have the totals. And again, because I'm going down one row, the first one is talking about row B5 through E5. Next one, we'll move it down one row to C5 or B6 to E6, it's one row. The same for the next one. Now that I created a basic spreadsheet, what I need to do is go in and save it. Well, this is my first time I'm creating the file. Take notice it says up here that it's book 2. It means it doesn't have a file name and it doesn't even know where I'm storing it. Right now, if the electricity goes out, this is only in what's called memory. Memory is temporary. Electric goes out, I lose this. How do I not lose it? I need to take it from memory and put it onto the hard drive. Your hard drive is the storage. And how I can do that is I can go to File, and if it's the first time, you can choose Save or Save As. It doesn't matter which one it is. I'll click on Save, and take notice it brings up the Save As dialog box. It's asking me where do I want to save it. I'll say save it to this PC. And if I double click on it, it should bring up my documents. And I can go in here and name this, and I'll just call this the ABC Sales. Hit enter. Look at the title bar, and you'll see that it says ABC Sales. That means that the file now has a name and it's stored someplace, whether on the cloud or on your computer. Now when the electric goes out, all this work that I just done won't be lost. So that's the basics of Excel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close this file, and I want to stay in Excel, so I'll do File, Close. So now that I showed you how Excel works, creating simple formulas, how to type in text, instead of you creating it, we have the two files. Here's the first file, and one way I can go down here to the taskbar, and I can go to the calculator. Well, how do I get these numbers in here? Well, these numbers, if you had a report from QuickBooks or a program similar to that, you could type the numbers in there. But what if you're doing it manually? Well, that's what the other spreadsheet is for. So I'm going to go back over here to sample calculations, or this one. What I'm going to do is, this is a template. What happens if I mess it up? So what I'll do is I'll do a file save as. Why am I doing a file save as? This already has a name. It has a location. I want to save a copy of this file. So I'm going to do the file, and I'm going to select save as. Now I'm going to save it to my document, so I'll just double click this PC. And I'm going to call this, instead of the word sample, I'll highlight sample, and I'll just type in the word Kevin. So this is my calculator. So I'll just click save, and take notice how it changed the name. My original file will not be affected. If I did an oops, I can always go back to it. Now, if I go back to that first file, I see that I need to know the number of full-time employees. I need salaries. Maybe I need to do vacations. Maybe I don't need to worry about the rest of these columns. Well, I gave you a basic spreadsheet, and you can always add information to it. Now, is there a way that I can see this sheet and the other sheet together? And the answer is yes. If I go to what is called the View tab to bring up the View ribbon, there is a group here called Window. What I want to do is I want to check to make sure I only have 2 Excel files open. And how I can do that is I can go over here to Switch Windows. When I click on the drop-down, take notice the 2 files are listed. I don't see a third or fourth one. I only want these 2, and I want to see both of them on the screen. To do this, I'm just checking to see how many files are open. If a third one was open, I would click on it and close it, but I only have the 2 open. What I want to do is see both on the same screen so I can work with these worksheets. I'm going to go to Windows again, and I'm going to click on Arrange All. Now I can tile them. Tile means side by side, or I could make them horizontal. I'm going to choose horizontal, and I'm going to click OK. Up at the top, I have the one file, and down below, I have the other file. And I can scroll through these files. Now, if you start scrolling and it's like, well, the top one's changing, all you have to do is click into the bottom one to start scrolling to see this information. I'm not going to take you through a whole 8 weeks. I'm just going to show you how you can bring the information over or even copy this if you're using this to the PPP tracking worksheet up here. But I'm going to start down here. Right here, I see employee 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the names of my employees. I'm going to only use 5 employees, but I know some of you will have more than 5. Some of you will have less than 5. And what can you do if you have more or less? So I'll type in the first name of Stevie. Then I'll type in Christine. And I'm just typing. I'm not deleting anything. And when I type, it replaces what's in the cell. I'll type in Mick. I'll even type in John and Lindsay. Now, I'm not going to worry about the last one, but if you didn't have a 6th employee, you could go there, click on that, and just hit the delete key, and it deletes the name of that employee out of there. Well, yes, I want to put in their hours, but I also want to be able to calculate their pay rate. So what I want to do is put in what is their hourly wage. How can I do that? I'm just seeing hours in column B. Column C is pay. I'm seeing health, and I'm seeing taxes, and I'm also seeing full-time employees. Full-time employees are going to show up down here. It's those that work 40 hours or greater. But I want to insert a column for creating a wage. Well, where do I want to put the wage? Well, I want to put the wage where column C is. I basically want to take column C and take everything and shift it over one column. The easiest way to do that is if you see my mouse pointer, I'm over the column heading C. I'm not on the cell below it. I'm not down here. See how you see the plus sign? Up here, you see the mouse pointing down. So right click on it, and it brings up what is called the shortcut menu. That's a right click instead of a regular click or a left mouse click. In here, you have different options. Usually when you right click, it's going to show you a menu with what you can do to the area that you clicked on. Well, I'm going to tell it to insert. When I click on insert, take notice what was in column C now moved over to D. So everything to the right of that column moved one column to the right. So now I can type in wage. But I also need to go in and create a formula. What is their pay? We know that it's hours times the pay. So I'm going to start with an equal sign, and I know I'm going to take the hours, so I'll just click on the cell for the hours, and I'm going to add or multiply it. And to multiply it, you use the asterisk. And I'm going to multiply it by the wage. I'm going to hit enter. I'm not a PPP expert. I know that the pay is probably going to be a little bit more complicated because you do have to factor in overtime. I'm not going to do that here, but you could write a formula for overtime as well. What I'm going to do is, as I showed you, use that autofill handle and just drag it down for the others. Now I'm setting this up so that I can calculate. I also need to do the wage. So I'll click there, and I'll go to that auto sum and select this, but I don't really need to add up the wage, so I'm just going to hit escape because we need to know the number of full-time employees and the expenses. What I want to do is I want to copy this down to the other 8 weeks. So I'm going to highlight cell A4 and I'm going to go down to D8. Take notice I highlighted a range. Now there's many different ways of copying if you haven't done that. One way is up here in the clipboard, there is the copy icon. Clicking on one of the highlighted cells, you have the copy option. You also have from the keyboard, if you like shortcuts, holding the control key down and pressing the C will also copy. Well, I'm going to click on copy here in the clipboard group. Take notice it's marqueed. It's also called marching ants. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just scroll down and click on where it says employee 1. And I'm actually going to reselect the area because I have a blank cell down here, and I'll click on copy again. I don't have to select the same range. All I do is I tell Excel where the range is going to start. Once I do that, I can either click on paste. I could right click and select paste, or I could do a Control V to paste. I'm going to go down to 3, click on the first cell. Well, my marquee went away, that's why I can't paste. And if you don't, there it is, the marquee's still there. So I'll paste. Here's week 4, paste, paste. That's week 7, and that's week 8. So basically what I did is I did some data entry, copied the information, and placed it down there. Well, I know that Stevie worked 35 hours that week. If I hit enter, it goes down 1. Christine worked 40, John worked 35, and Lindsay worked 40. So that went in and put in their hours. How many full-time employees were there? 3, if you look at this number. This is a calculation I had done, and if you look at the formula bar, it's using some function where it's counting the number of cells over here that contain a number greater than 40. If you were doing overtime, I'm just going to click on John and make him work 45 hours. Take notice how it turns it red saying, hey, we got to do a special calculation here because John worked overtime. He just doesn't get what his wage is. He gets his wage and the 5 hours over that, he gets time and a half for. So I'll type in their wages. So Stevie is going to get $12 an hour, whereas Christine gets $15 an hour. Mick will get $12 an hour, $12 an hour, and $13 an hour. Now I calculate it and it's like, wait a minute, look at Kevin's screen. What's wrong with cell D5? Well, this cell has been formatted. What's going on here is these pound signs don't mean it's an error. It means that the number that it's using to calculate is actually too small for the cell. So what I got to do is I got to widen the cell. How do you widen the cell? Well, one way, the easiest way, is you could go up here to where D and E are. I could click and drag the cell to widen it. Another way you could do that is just get that double-headed arrow between the 2 column headings and you double click with the left mouse, 1, 2. And what it does is it opens up the column to the widest entry. Take notice now that I have my total here. I have my pay and the healthcare. We're going to say that everybody pays $75 for this week for their health care. I'll just type it in once. I'm not going to type in 75 5 times because I'm going to use that autofill to fill in the 75. Well, the taxes. Well, the taxes could take the pay, and I got to figure out, well, what do I owe with Social Security, Medicare, and I could even do the other taxes. What I want to do is I'm going to take the pay, and this is what I'm going to pay on the employee. We know that the employee's taxes come out of their pay, but I have to pay half of the Social Security. I also have to pay Medicare. I have to pay maybe some unemployment on them as well. What I want to do is I want to create a formula that's going to figure out my taxes. I'm going to take the Social Security, which is 6.5, I believe, and then the Medicare is 1 point something. And it ends up being like 7.65. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a formula. Like I said, formulas, Excel knows when you start in with an equals sign. I'm going to take the pay, which is D5. I'm going to multiply it. I could put a cell with the VAT, or I could type in, well, it's going to be 0.00765. Hit enter, and there's the taxes I owe for that week for that person. I'll just drag the formula down so I have it for the week. So I do that for each week. I could go in here. I'm just going to copy these numbers. I don't want to be typing. And I'll even copy their wages. And I'll change John back here to 35. And when I do, take notice it's back to black and not highlighted, so I don't have to worry about overtime. I'll even change him here to 40, just so I don't have to worry about overtime. So you do that for each week. And as you scroll down, you'll see that there's a grand total down here for your weeks. The way I designed this particular spreadsheet for you is over here on the right. If you worked with spreadsheets, you probably never saw this 1, 2, 3 over here. What I had done is I had created what is an outline. I wouldn't expect you to know it, but you can use this and the outline's there. These are different levels, and I created calculations, and I said, let's see the details. So that's number 3. If I click on number 2, it collapses the spreadsheet and shows me the totals for each week. Hey, that will make it easy to put in the information up here, but I don't want to rekey it. I'll be coming back to the top part a little bit later. 1 will give me the grand total. What was it for those 8 weeks? I'll click on 2 again just to see the totals, so you can see I need to figure out the rest of the weeks, or I can click on 3 to bring back the rest of the information. I also did it for non-employee expenses. You have a utility, the amount, whether you have rent or it's mortgage interest that you have to pay, and that should total this up as well. So in week 1, we might have gotten the electric bill. So I could say that it's electric and it's $500. There's my utilities for week 1. I'll go down to week 2. And I'm just going to copy these 2 cells and paste them here. I'll show you what I did next time. It's a little trick how to get things to copy down. But the following week, we had to pay the water bill of $350. So I'll put that in there. And there's our utility. I'll just click on 2, and now I'm seeing what my utilities are for the weeks, 500, 350, and I'm also seeing my payroll expenses. I'll go back to 3. Now what I want to do is I want to go in and I'll just copy this information again. Copy the formula over. And with the formula, instead of dragging this auto handle down, if you get the little black plus sign and just double click it, 1, 2, it will go in and put in the total for you. I'm just deleting them out of the cells. Whoops, I did a little bit more than I wanted to. But what it does is it goes in and will stop. So I'll just scroll up here. Now I can say that week 3 is rent, and I paid $3,200 on rent. That's basically creating what your weekly expenses are. How can I get these weekly expenses into this particular file? Well, I can do calculations between the two files, but I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to go in and move this or copy this file, payroll expenses, to my PPP tracking worksheet. Well, since I have both of them open, the quickest way to copy that is, this is called a tab, or the worksheet tab. I'll just right click on the name of it. And when I right click, take notice that the shortcut menu comes up and I want to select this move or copy. I don't want to have to copy and paste. So I'll click on move or copy and it brings up this dialog box. It's asking me, what do I want to do? Well, I want to take this and move it to, and the name of this is PPP Calculator 7.1. So if I have the file already open, when I click on the drop down, take notice it lists both of the files, or I can start a totally new file with it. Well, I don't want a new file. I just want to copy it to this other workbook. So I'm going to click on the PPP calculator. Where do I want to place it? Do I want to place it in front of this worksheet tab, or do I want to place it in front of notes? I want to place it in front of notes. Now, I don't want to remove it from this worksheet, so I got to create a copy of it. So I selected the name of the workbook. Remember, the workbook has to be open, what tab to place it in front of, and where to create a copy. And I'll click OK. Take notice now I have PP tracking and payroll expenses. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to save this lower file. I'm going to do a Control S on it to save it. Now it updated this file, and because I updated it, I can close the file. Now I have tracking and payroll expenses all in one worksheet. With this, I'm looking at what it brought over, and it's like, uh-oh, something's happening here with the columns. So I want to expand all of these columns to the widest entry because I'm seeing pound signs in there. If you select all the column headings, remember I selected here from A to K. I didn't select the cells below it. All I have to do is double click between one of these and it opens all the columns to the widest entry. What I need to do is I'm going to just go to 2 here so I have this information, and I'm going to copy this information or put this information into the first sheet. Instead of me clicking on the different sheets, what I want to do is I want to show both worksheets on the screen. Like I did with both files, and I'm going to go back up here to View, I'll go back to Switch Windows. I have one worksheet open. How can I get this second worksheet to open? Well, we click on this icon, New Window. When you click on it, you look up here at the title bar and you'll see that there is a 2 behind it, meaning that we have 2 copies of the same file open. I make changes to one, it makes it to the other. It's the same workbook, you're just seeing it twice. What I want to do is I want to go in and click on View, and just like I did before when I had the 2 files open, I'm going to do Arrange All, but I'm going to do it horizontal and click OK. Take notice now that I have tracking here, but it looks like, whoa, don't I have tracking here? No, I can click on this one and say payroll expenses, and now I have the payroll. So now that I have the numbers here, how can I get these to appear up here? I'm going to scroll this down just a little bit, just so I can see a few more weeks. And I'm just going to show you 1 or 2 weeks. I'm not going to do the whole workbook for you. I'm going to click into the cell where I need to put the full-time employees. Where do I need to do? I need to start a formula, so I'm going to do equals. Well, where is my full-time employees? Well, if I go down here, it's down here in G10. This is the active workbook up here because that's where I started the equals. If I go to click here, it doesn't seem like anything's happening. And what I did is I just made this workbook active. So now when I click on it, look at the formula up here. It's saying take a cell from the payroll expenses tab and put G10 there. So I'll hit enter and there's my number. I'll go to salaries and commissions. I'll start with equals and we know that it's pay and it's basically a double click. Owner's compensation, vacation, let's do health equals, enter. And state taxes, enter. I can do that also for week 2, equals week 2. And just take your time. You can always undo something if you made a mistake. Let's say I hit equals, but I clicked this cell in mistake. I can always go back here, just hit the delete key to delete the formula and redo it. Now, I'm not going to take you across for week 2. If you scroll down through this spreadsheet, you can see that it starts putting the information in that we did in the original one. You'll also have to fill out your non-payroll expenses, which is below your payroll expenses. So here I can say for week 1, utility payments. Well, what do I have to do? I have to type in an equals, basically double click on that 500, and I can do it for the second week as well. Start with equals. Now let me make a change to week 1. Now take notice there's plus signs over here. So if I click on the plus sign, it should expand week 1 in this sheet. Oh, I forgot to hit enter to bring that over. Now I can expand it. When I expand it, let's say that Stevie was a mistake. She actually worked 40 hours. Now that updated everything. Let's see what it did to week number 1 up here in the worksheet. It's saying it's 5. It's now 290. Take notice how with the formulas, if I make a change down here, it's making a change up here. So this is basically completing this formula by using this worksheet to give you the details. Then there's the information down here. How much did you borrow? I'm just typing a number in here. I'm not really an expert in this. And it gives you all the calculations and how much money do you have to return or something like that. Of course, I didn't do all 8 weeks, but this is basically how we create that particular spreadsheet. What I need to do is save it. So I'll do a file save. This saves all my work. I would tell it to save every 10 minutes. Control S will save, or just do a file save so you don't lose your work. So this is working with templates I found online. I created my own template to give you the figures that are up here. Now I want to switch and go back to working with Word. In Word, there are templates. Sometimes you're asked to create an invoice. How do I create an invoice? In Word, if you do a file and you click on new, they will show you different types of invoices. Well, I want to find a document that's an invoice. So I'm going to click here where it says search online for templates. I'll just type in the word invoice. Now, if you tried this for PPP loans in Excel or in Word, you're not going to find any examples because Microsoft doesn't have pre-made templates. You have to go out on the internet to look for it. I'm going to click on invoice and tell it to create. What I want to do is create my own personal template. So I click where it says company name, and I'll just type in Kevin's Photography. Click here where it says your address, and I'll just say it's 100 Main Street in Lawrence, New Jersey, 08648. It says here, replace logo. So I click there to replace the logo. It's looking for a picture. Well, I'm going to go up here into Word where there's a toolbar here called Picture Format. I'll click on that. Once I click on that, over here under the Adjust group, it says something here to change the picture. So I'll click on that and say From File. And what I have is my logo. So you navigate to your logo, click on Insert, and it now changes your logo. Now you can do other things as well. Well, what's your telephone number? Well, this is in what is called a footer. So this is a little tricky. To get into the footer, you just double click on it. Now I can double click the phone number and say, well, it's 609-555-1212. And you can do the same. What's my email? It's me@email.com, and put your web address in there, www.gi3.com, and your fax number. Take notice, I am not making an invoice. What I'm doing is I'm creating or updating a template so I can create invoices without having to change that information every single time. So I'm going to save this as a template. So I'll go to File, and from File, I'm going to select Save As. I'm going to say add a place, or not add a place, this PC. Don't worry about where it's saving it. You don't want to change where it's going to save it. But down here where the Save As type is, you're going to say that this is going to be a Microsoft Word template. I'm just going to call this Kevin Invoice. And again, don't worry where it's saving it. I'm going to click on Save. And now I saved a copy of this template. So if I close out of this particular template and I do a File, New, I created a template. Templates you create will always be under Personal. So when I click on Personal, here I should see my letterhead. All I have to do is click on it and it should open it. And there it is. My name's already there, my logo's there. I can enter information such as quantity is 2, whatever the description is, widgets. And I can put a price in of $500. I can also have Word add this up for me. I'm in a table. I'm going to go up here to Table Tools Design. And from the Layout tab under Table Tools Design, there is Formula. So I'm going to click on Formula, and I can treat this just like Excel. This is actually column A, column B, and this is A2. So it's saying sum. I'm going to highlight that formula and say equals, and this is where I have to type it. I have to type in A2 times C2 because the 500's in C2. I can also go in and format the number. I'll click OK and take notice how it updated that. If I change this to a 3, it doesn't automatically update unless I click on the field and tell it to update, or press the function key F9. Now I can save this and fill out the information like you would for a normal invoice. But I want to show you how you could take a Microsoft template, if we found one, and claim it as your own by saving it as a template and where to find it. So basically, we worked with templates. Is there any questions?
I am not seeing any questions specifically to this presentation at this time.
Okay, great. And I guess we go back to you and,
Lillian, did you want to take over from here?
oh, there was one thing we
Okay, go
forgot.
ahead. Okay.
For those of you who would like lessons on Word or in Excel, if you write down this URL, www.gi3.com, this is my photography website. You can look at pictures while you're doing training as well. But up here in the top menu, we have training. Click on that, and it gives you the different topics. You want Excel? Click on Excel. Level 1 will tell you what are the topics in level 1. So if you need with formulas, click on level 1. Here, they give you the different options here. Here's basic formulas, order of precedence. So if I clicked on basic formulas, it brings up this video. All you have to do is press play, watch it, and it should give you a basic understanding of videos. The same for Word. So I just want to let you know that that resource is available to you. Again, it's out on www.gi3.com, and just click on training and then select which one you want. It's Excel, Word, Access, PowerPoint, or OneNote. And that's all I guess I'm done now.
So Kevin, while you did that, a few questions have popped in.
Okay.
Someone is asking, and I think this might be more of a non-Excel training type of question, but this person is asking, can you report more than 40 hours on the sheet, and where you might do that?
Yes. I didn't write the formula for it, but let me go back. Did I close out of Excel? I think this is the one. Here you could type in, let's take Stevie, say 48. Take notice, I would have to rewrite the formula here. It would be complicated. You could make another column saying, okay, she worked 40 hours, but it's a calculation. It's going to be like an if statement. I could possibly quickly show it, but I don't want to really take you into if statements. I would be happy to address the person offline if that's the case.
Okay. And a couple of other people, hold on, there's some other things that popped in. Hold on. What about the part about the full-time equivalent calculation? Is there a field for that? Oh, well, I actually do see that in there on this sheet that you have up now.
Right there.
Right, so that's where you would put in, that calculation is 1, 2, 3, 4 as for each person, right?
Correct. And
So
but this formula, this is a formula. It's looking at this range here, B4 through B9. I'll double click on it. It's looking at this range and it's counting how many are over 40. That's what this is actually saying. So that's how you get your full-time employees. Also down below, I believe there was something, your total, and because I didn't fill it out, in the grand total, this is what your average was for the 8 weeks, and you round it up. So if it says 1.3, you change it to 2. And that goes on to the other sheet. I saw that someplace. Or it totals it up. It tells you how many, it averages out your number of full-time employees.
Right. Okay, very good. And I'm going to address one of the questions here about, someone was asking a very specific question about whether or not the financial simple form was for the easy PPP forgiveness application. We are not providing any templates for any specific application. We are giving you tools to calculate your data. You must, determine what information needs to be supplied based on your forgiveness application. So please keep that in mind as you use these templates. It is not specific to any PPP forgiveness application. It is just to provide you something to calculate your data, someplace to hold it, to place it so that you can review it and use it for your forgiveness application. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear, because it is not that cut and dry, unfortunately, but we do feel that these templates will help you to calculate and curate your data. It looks like a lot of our templates, I actually posted these during the meeting. So it looks like if you go into your handout section, you'll see the 2 templates there. I wasn't sure if it was going to populate because they were added after we began, but one of your other participants found them in the handout section of your control panel. So check that out. So if we don't have any other questions, and I don't think we do, I'm going to hand it back over to Lillian, if you're ready, Lillian.
Thank you, Shakira. Thank you, Kevin, for the presentation. And just to remind you also that you have any additional questions specifically to your business, because each business is different, and please contact your SBDC center. You can contact our SBDC center at the College of New Jersey, also SBDC at Brookdale Community College, and Northwest SBDC. Contact us, and we can guide you to the right direction. And also, before we leave, this presentation has been recorded, and then we will send it out in a letter later on, or the latest by tomorrow. You will have it along with the forms that Kevin was showing in the event. This is just a link to get the PPP forgiveness application form. You will also get that into your letter that will go out, and you can print it out directly and use the forms. Also, there is a poll. There's a poll going on right now. Please, before you leave, make sure you answer the questions. It's very important for us to know your impressions.
Lillian, it's actually the exit survey. So when you close out, you'll find a survey. Just take those 2 questions, couple of questions, the exit survey when you leave the presentation.
When you leave the presentation, and please make sure fill out before you leave. We also have upcoming events with Mercer County Office of Economic Development and UCEDC, where the Business Survival Series. They're coming out. There are 4 events coming out in August. Please, we encourage you to sign up. And if you have any questions, please contact us. This event is in collaboration with UCEDC, Princeton Mercer Regional Chamber of Commerce, and of course the SBDC at the College of New Jersey. And for any additional questions, please, our offices and Mercer County Office of Economic Development, we are here to assist you on concerning your business needs. Please reach out to our center at 908-295-5926. Or you can email us at regionaldirector@sbdcnj.com, as well as you can contact the County Office of Economic Development at 609-989-6555, or you can send an email at acarabellijr@mercercounty.org. Thank you so much for your presence today, and looking forward to join into another webinar in the next few weeks.